role of fate and destiny in Greek tragedy is a complex topic, because on the one hand, we want the tragic hero to have some freedom, but in some cases, it seems like your story is laid out by the time you're born, or even in the giving of a name. The best example for those who think that there is no fate or free will in tragedy would be Oedipus, because he is given his fate and he does everything he can to avoid it, and of course he enacts it. What we don't know is, was there another possibility, another way?
In the narratives of tragedy, epic mythology though, fate is running at one level, and human hubris and hamartia are running at another level. You usually don't need fate to explain what happens. Oedipus is fated to kill his father and marry his mother, but his own blind arrogance are also enough to lead him to that same conclusion.
That's the tricky thing about fate. If you say you don't believe in it and you're simply going to rebel and do whatever you want, the person sitting right next to you could say, well, that's your fate, that's your destiny to do so.
Your resolve is admirable, even if it is misguided. None can change their destiny, Kratos. We sisters determine the fate of all. It was I who deemed that the Titans lose the Great War, and I who have allowed you to come this far. It is not your destiny to kill Zeus.
You no longer control my destiny.
Weaving is very important in Greek culture and mythology, and the Greeks understood life and destiny actually as a thread.
Lachesis is one of the three fates in Greek mythology, and her name literally means the one who allots. She determines how long your thread is, how long a life you will get.
When Kratos first encounters his sisters, he encounters the first character who is much more beautiful, much more angelic, and it's a very standard God of War fight. It's very straight up. It's the two fighting each other.
Towards the end of the fight, Kratos is winning the battle, so she summons her sister, Atropos, who's basically trapped in this realm in the past, in this mirror.
Search your memory, Kratos. The sword which you stand on delivered your victory against Ares. Without it, you will be the one who dies this day, not Ares. We can change your past and set your future. This is the power of the Fates!
Atropos is one of the three fates. Her name literally means no turning back. So she actually determines when you will die and the manner in which you will die.
Atropos' hand comes to the mirror and pulls them both into this time gate, and they actually end up in the past at the exact moment where Kratos was opening Pandora's box and becoming a giant and about to take on Ares.
And that's where our time travel element came in, and we play with the time there in that during that fight, Kratos and the sister are battling on a sword that the Kratos in God of War 1 uses to kill Ares, and if you fail that fight, the sword is destroyed, killing you, but also killing your former self because there's no sword for which you to grab to kill Ares. So it's a great little parody we throw at the player at that moment.
With the defeat of the two sisters, there is but one more left to defend the threads of fate, the sister known as Clotho.
So one fate, Clotho, would be spinning at the loom.
She was the one who spun the very thread. She was the source with her giant spindle.
We had a lot of concept work done for her, spider-ish elements brought in there. We wanted this whole large, scary creature in this web of silks. It started getting real kind of crazy on the monster side, and then we tried to pull it back to kind of allowing it to be a lot more human and tie in back with the other sisters.
She's this big, fat, monstrous woman with 6 arms and 5 breasts, and she's fused almost to this interior temple, overgrown and in a very uncomfortable position, and all this mechanics of this loom chamber have been built around her, and she is the guardian and the controller of the loom. She has everyone's thread at her fingertips, and Kratos must defeat her in order to gain access to his thread. So he finds this really sharp pendulum, and he jams it right through her skull.
But fate itself was no match for the mighty Spartan captain. Taking control of the loom of destiny, Kratos sets himself back to the time of his death at the hands of Zeus in Rhodes.
What? How can this be? The Sisters of Fate have aided you. Unexpected.
The sisters are dead.
I underestimated you. A mistake I do not intend to repeat.
Again, likening to the Greek tragedy, we have our hero unintentionally killing someone that is very close to him, the goddess Athena. And it's that tragic moment within the game. It harkens back to the first game, a very tragic moment at the end of the game that's very personal.
My wife, my child.
Tapping into that on the second game, here's another tragedy. He's thinking he's doing the right thing. I'm gonna get my revenge. I'm gonna kill Zeus. And all of a sudden, Athena steps in the way, and boom, there it happens. Another kind of tragic mistake that this hero makes.
He didn't understand that kind of self-sacrifice. He didn't understand why she was protecting him. He certainly didn't want to kill her, but it wasn't going to deter him from what he wants. And now it's almost like he's even more upset with Zeus because it's the only person he ever cared for kind of got in the way and ended up dead because of this pursuit, even though it was from his own ambition to kill Zeus.
Why do you sacrifice yourself?
To save Olympus.
I do not seek to destroy Olympus, only Zeus.
Zeus is Olympus.
He brought this to himself.
Because of fear, Kratos. A fear felt by his father, Kronos. A fear that wrought the Great War. A fear that drove Zeus to kill you. His own son.
His son?
I think the reason Athena steps in front of Kratos and prevents him from killing Zeus at that moment is because of all the gods, she is the one that has always been, in the God of War universe, the self-sacrificing one, the one that is always trying to do the right thing. She has always been about everyone else, and in this moment, she steps in front of Kratos' blade to protect Zeus, but in some respects, to protect him from killing his father, which no son should ever have to do.
Patricide, the killing of one's own father to usurp his power, is a very commonplace theme in Greek mythology. We see it with just about every single pantheon of deities and gods.
Kronos, for instance, castrates his father Uranos. Uranos is divine and can't be killed, but since his only function is sexual, to beget creatures, then castrating him is symbolically killing him. Kronos himself is displaced by Zeus and consigned to Tartarus, where he is powerless. Again, he's divine and can't be killed, but since his only function in Greek myth is to exercise power irresponsibly like a brute, removing his power from him, in effect, neuters him.
And now in God of War, we see Kratos about to usurp Zeus of his power and his seat on Olympus.
The reason why you have to kill your father is because you need to overthrow him so you can get power. Especially if your father is a god, because he's not going to age and he's not going to die. So it would be inaccurate, actually, to call it patricide in the case of the gods, but it's the same motif, right? The idea is that you're following this popular motif in Greek culture. You can't really kill gods, but you can essentially do away with them, equivalents to patricide.
It embodies an historical and psychological truth. After all, every generation must move out of the way and, in effect, die to make room for the younger generation to assume its rightful place. And this is what happens at each juncture of the development of Greek cultural history. An old order dies and is replaced by a new order, often by violence. Change often happens by force.
With the escape of Zeus, the vengeful Spartan uses his newfound powers and travels back to the time of the Great War between the Titans and the Olympians.
Gaia!
And along his side are a few new mighty allies.
All on Olympus tremble at my name. Zeus is weak. Ares and Athena are dead, and I wield the blade. We can win the Great War, but not in this time. Together, we will destroy the petty gods, and we will see Olympus crumble before us. Come with me, Gaia. Return to my time. Victory awaits.